Now, another issue I want to show you that I've been working on is a problem with my shifter. There's been a couple of runs, twice I think it's happened, and I was only able to really catch what happened looking back at my dash cam video, but I knew something was off because the car was off a good 10th. And I was like, well, what's going on with that run? Why is my 60-foot slow? Why was the car off? And I came to find that I was running into a short shift, that basically right after launch, the car would shift instead of about 1 3/4 seconds out, which is where I've had it set lately. It would shift almost right away. And I caught the evidence of this on my dash cam. I could literally see the shifter move. So I'll show you my setup. I've got an electronic solenoid that shifts my shifter, right? And so the way this works, if you're not aware, sometimes it's an air shifter, mine's electronic. Pull this all the way down into low gear, and then this piece here kicks against this piece and puts it into second. I'll show you how it all operates in a second, but you know, if you're a drag racer, you know how this all works. You cock it in place, and then the timer fires that solenoid, and the spring pushes it out, and bam, you're into high gear. So just for the 1-2 shift for the Power Glide I'm running in the dragster. So the issue was it would short shift. It would kick it almost right away after leaving the line. And I was also noticing that it seemed like it wouldn't lock in quite right. And I think the couple of times that it failed and short shifted was because the solenoid wasn't quite engaged the way it should have been. So what you may have if you run into that issue as well, you know, it was one of those intermittent things, not all the time. But you've got a couple of nuts here in this bracket that adjust some of the inplay. You've also got this guy, which will adjust some of the play of that arm. Now, a lot of instructions on these solenoids will say you set this up to have just like a small amount of a gap against the end of the piston and the shifter. This piece here and here. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like. See, this piece comes up. When you're in high gear, just a very minute little bit of play. It's not really pushing into the spring or engaging it much. Mine does a little bit. But you can adjust that with this nut up here. When the power's engaged to all this is supposed to lock in place. And I would have to really kind of push down. It just wasn't quite always engaging. So that got me looking at adjusting this, and that's what I did. Loosen these two nuts, adjusted it ever so much, and I can tell a big difference because now, power this all up, it locks in very easy, and you can hear it just positively click into place. Bingo, you know it's in there. You can really feel it thunk. It kind of goes back and you really hear it thunk. Then the idea is run through the timer, let go of the trans brake, bam. Shift happens when it's supposed to, doesn't let it go when it's not supposed to. So that's another thing I've been working on here, but still have the panels off. We'll get those back on here soon now that I've kind of tracked that down. I also did a little wire work here because some of these wires were a little exposed to the butt connectors, and they were against this chassis bar, which had me thinking, hey, maybe we're jumping some sparks. So if it would ground out, that could potentially cause it to trip when it's not supposed to either. So there you go. That's what I've been up to. And, you know, the hope was this weekend, Carolina Power Fest 9. I've not been to any of them. This would be the first one for me. But it's at Rockingham. But the weather's not looking so good right now. There's a bit of wet weather coming in late this week. And it looks like some of that weather's going to carry into at least Saturday, maybe Sunday. So I don't know if they're actually going to hold that race. I'm not so sure I'll try to go. It's a couple hours away from here. But if the weather's looking iffy, I may hold off on that. There's another bracket race coming up on the 16th at Coastal Plains. Could hopefully make that. And then at the end of the month, Galat has their Halloween Havoc 2-day bracket race. Would love to get to that. But, you know, all these things are weather permitting. That's what we've been up to. And, yeah, thanks for following along.